Suddenly, sinkholes begin appearing all over the world, triggering violent explosions that send society spiraling into chaos. From these gaping holes emerge monstrous creatures known as reapers, merciless predators bent on hunting humans. Bullets prove useless against their tough hides, leaving the military powerless to protect humanity. In time, a discovery brings hope. At 8,000 feet above sea level, the creatures freeze. Desperate survivors begin flocking to high-altitude areas, building new lives amidst the peaks. 3 years later, in the rugged Rocky Mountains of Colorado, a boy named Hunter lives with a small community of 193 survivors in a place called Lost Gulch Refuge. One day, driven by curiosity, Hunter ventures beyond the 8,000-foot safe line, eager to glimpse what lies beyond. But his journey is cut short. A reaper emerges, and Hunter sprints back toward safety. The creature closes in, but just as its claws reach for him, Hunter crosses the line, and the reaper halts, frozen in its tracks. Shaken but alive, Hunter returns home, only to face his father's fury. Will, his father, reprimands him harshly, not just for the risk he took, but because of Hunter's fragile lungs. "I can't lose you like I lost your mother," Will says, his voice heavy with pain. Later, while hunting with a fellow survivor, Katie, Will confides his worries. Katie, ever understanding, points out that Hunter, as the only child in the refuge, is lonely and longs for friends. But Will knows it's more than that. Hunter is drawn to the last place he saw his mother. Meanwhile, in another corner of the refuge, a scientist named Nina works tirelessly to develop weapons capable of piercing the Reaper's hide. She fires test shots into a slab of Reaper skin, but her efforts yield no results. That night, her relentless gunfire echoes through the refuge, stirring bitter memories for Will. His late wife had joined Nina on a fateful mission, one that cost her life. As Will wrestles with the past, Hunter begins to cough, his frail lungs struggling. Will rushes to his son's side and replaces the filter in Hunter's breathing machine. But a grim realization settles over him. This was the last filter in their home. In the quiet hours of the night, Will studies maps, contemplating a dangerous journey across the safe line to find more filters. He knows the risks, but feels he has no choice. On Hunter's birthday, Will manages to secure the refuge's last box of macaroni and cheese, a rare treat for his son. As they cook together, Hunter expresses sadness over the community's silence on the radio. "Talking to people is important," he says wistfully. That night, Hunter's cough returns, more severe than before, forcing Will to administer a precious injection to stabilize him. Determined to save his son, Will seeks out Nina under the cover of darkness. With resolve etched into his face, he informs her of his decision. At dawn, he will leave for Boulder, the nearest city, to search for filters. He claims he's found a safe road, but Nina doesn't believe him, certain that she has the area memorized. Her old lab happens to be in Boulder. Will insists she come along, arguing that her years of studying the Reapers and surviving her last trip make her essential. However, Nina counters, pointing out that her survival was sheer luck and that Will's wife had died during that same mission. Undeterred, Will mentions a mine that cuts through the mountains, hoping to persuade her. But Nina dismisses the idea, a place where the Reapers could easily trap them. After Will leaves, Nina tinkers with a compass, trying to modify it. Yet, her thoughts keep drifting back to the loss of Will's wife, filling her with guilt and bringing her to tears. Meanwhile, Will asks a neighbor to look after Hunter, then heads to the gun store to arm himself with as many weapons as he can. Katie arrives and declares she's coming along, brushing off Will's objections. Before long, Nina relents as well, deciding to join them but mocking Katie, claiming her inexperience will make her a burden. Will says goodbye to Hunter, promising he'll return. But Hunter quietly reminds him, "Mom said the same thing." With heavy hearts, the trio finally sets out. On the trail, Nina continues to belittle Katie until Will firmly tells her to stop. Begrudgingly, Nina explains that Reapers emit high bioelectromagnetic pulses, and her modified compass can detect them within half a mile. After a long trek, they find the Elba Fire Road and the 8,000-foot line. Once the compass confirms no creatures are nearby, the group crosses and begins descending. Soon, they stumble upon several abandoned trucks and start searching for supplies. Among the findings are flares, ammunition, and even a grenade launcher, something Katie surprisingly knows how to use. Nina, on the other hand, finds a Reaper scale and takes time to gather a sample. Katie tries to rush her, sparking a heated argument. Nina accuses Katie of trying to win over Will, to which Katie furiously retaliates, slamming Nina against a truck and reminding her that Nina is responsible for Katie's best friend's death, Will's wife. As they press on, the group is astonished to find a herd of horses roaming freely in the forest. The sight raises an unsettling realization. The Reapers seem to target humans exclusively. Eventually, they reach the ski area, intending to use the chairlift to traverse safely toward the mines. At that moment, Nina's compass signals a nearby creature. The trio freezes as they spot the trees violently shaking in the forest. Will quickly climbs to the top of the lift, racing to activate the backup generators. As the creature approaches, Katie panics and fires a few grenades. The explosions erupt in deafening blasts but fail to harm the Reaper. Will finishes connecting the generator, and Nina flips the switch before jumping onto a chairlift. Will quickly joins her, and together they open fire at the approaching Reaper. Below, Katie scrambles to climb the tower, trying to reach the chairs. The creature leaps onto the cables, making the chairs sway violently, but Will and Nina hold on tight. Katie times her jump carefully, but she miscalculates and misses the chair. Plummeting, she is caught mid-air by Will. Nina's bullets run out just as the Reaper shakes the cables again, sending all three tumbling to the ground. Without hesitation, they take off running, managing to cross the 8,000-foot safety line just before the Reaper can reach them. As darkness falls, the trio decides to spend the night in the ski resort. Over a shared drink, Nina reflects grimly on the Reaper's behavior. When they first appeared, she says, they wiped out 95% of humanity in a month, without eating, without sleeping. Predators kill to eat, but Reapers, they kill humans for sport and leave animals alone. Maybe they were sent here to get rid of us. After the women fall asleep, Will finds himself haunted by memories of his wife. He recalls their last conversation, her unwavering faith in Nina's ability to find a way to defeat the Reapers. The next morning, the group finally arrives at the mine where Will once worked. He explains the layout. Both ends of the tunnel are above the 8,000-foot line, but the lower levels dip below it. The tunnels aren't sealed, leaving them vulnerable to Reapers, and Nina's compass won't work underground. Despite their misgivings, Nina and Katie have no choice but to follow Will. Wearing construction helmets to light their way, the trio ventures into the tunnels, walking for hours in tense silence. Their progress comes to an abrupt halt when they encounter a cave-in blocking the main tunnel. Will announces they'll need to take level 7, a route that drops 1,000 yards below the safety line, but they press on, moving quickly to avoid drawing attention. Suddenly, a noise echoes through the darkness. They switch off their helmet lights, but it's too late. A Reaper is already in the tunnel and has spotted them. Panic sets in as they sprint through the narrow space. Will opens fire, but his bullets are useless. When the group finds a hole in the tunnel wall, they dart inside to hide. Panting, they listen as the Reaper searches for them. Nina whispers that Reapers track humans by detecting carbon dioxide, the very air they exhale. She urges them to hold their breath. The Reaper's glowing tail snakes into the hole, probing for movement. Just when they can't hold on any longer, Will pulls out a flare and hurls it into the tunnel. The bright light distracts the Reaper, buying them precious time. In the hole, the light reveals a way out in the opposite wall. They push away a few rocks to crawl through and escape. Will moves last, narrowly dodging the Reaper's tail before following his friends. After crawling for a few minutes, Katie emerges into another tunnel, only to come face to face with a Reaper. The creature strikes immediately, stabbing her with its tail. Will lunges toward her, but he isn't fast enough and can only watch in horror as the creature drags her away. Nina shouts, spotting a ladder nearby, and she and Will scramble up as fast as they can. Reaching the top, they find a door and burst out of the mine, barely reaching a safe altitude in time. As night falls, Nina and Will continue their journey, eventually coming across an abandoned house. They break in to spend the night and discover some boxes of macaroni and cheese, which they cook for dinner. Will mentions it's Hunter's favorite food. He asks Nina about her old lab, and she explains that she might find a chemical there that could help make bullets capable of damaging the creatures. She theorizes that the Reaper's scales are electrically charged and that the right bullet could trigger internal combustion. Will scoffs at the idea, calling it an unbelievable magic bullet, and angrily remarks that his wife died for such a weak theory. The next day, they take a truck from the house and drive it to cross the line as quickly as possible, passing through a town now overrun by animals. Eventually, they arrive at the hospital. Inside, they search for filters while strange noises echo around them. Their search leads them to the top floor, where they finally find the filters. Just as they start to leave, a Reaper bursts through a wall. The duo scrambles to dodge its massive claws, but the chaos is relentless. As they run, they bump into furniture and are struck by falling debris with every wall and window the Reaper destroys. Suddenly, the creature's tail snakes through a wall, grabbing Will. Nina acts fast, grabbing a fire axe and hacking at the tail until the Reaper releases him. Thinking quickly, Nina opens a gas canister, filling the corridor with fog to obscure their movements. The sight gives Will an idea. He waits until the Reaper is close, then fires at a cluster of oxygen tanks. The explosion is deafening, sending the creature hurtling through a window. When the dust settles, the Reaper lies motionless outside. They can't tell if it's dead or simply unconscious, but there's no time to waste. They need to move quickly. Will hesitates, wanting to return to his son, but Nina convinces him to help her reach the lab and finish her experiment. Reluctantly, he agrees, and the duo sets off in the truck. Unbeknownst to them, the Reaper they left behind stirs and wakes. When they arrive at the lab, Nina immediately gets to work mixing chemicals while Will keeps watch. As he scans the room, his gaze falls on a photograph. To his shock, it reveals that Nina once had a family, a topic she's never mentioned. Nina breaks down, confessing that on the day the world ended, she had been at work and couldn't be with her loved ones. She also admits her deep shame over the role she played in Will's wife's death. Hours later, Nina finishes crafting her bullet and tests it on a piece of Reaper hide, but nothing happens. Frustrated and defeated, she tells Will to return to his son while she stays behind to keep experimenting, determined to either find a solution or meet her end at the hands of the Reapers. Will reluctantly leaves in the truck, and Nina continues working, trying another combination, but to no avail. She's so absorbed in her work that she doesn't notice her compass reacting to a nearby Reaper. A sound breaks her concentration, but an idea strikes her, a chemical combination she hasn't tried yet. With renewed urgency, she begins mixing her last hope. Meanwhile, Will's truck suffers a blowout, sending the vehicle careening off the road and flipping onto its side. Disoriented, Will regains consciousness to the sound of an approaching Reaper. He kicks out the truck's window and climbs free, but his body struggles from the crash. As he pushes uphill toward the safety line, his path is blocked by a second Reaper. Desperate, Will opens fire, but his bullets are useless. Hopelessness begins to set in when suddenly Nina arrives. She fires her newly crafted bullets, and a strange explosion erupts, a dazzling mix of smoke and electric charge. Her theory is confirmed. The bullets work. One by one, she takes down the Reapers, their attacks futile against the newfound weapon. After the battle, the pair examines the Reaper's remains, only to discover mechanical parts within their bodies. Shocked, Nina concludes that the creatures are robots, programmed to hunt and kill humans. When Will asks who sent them, Nina suggests the answer is extraterrestrial, aliens. Back at the refuge, Will reunites with Hunter in an emotional embrace while Nina raises a pirate flag to signal her breakthrough. Survivors gather, eager to craft special bullets using her formula. For the first time in years, Will dusts off the radio and broadcasts a message of hope to others. As the survivors arm themselves, they launch an offensive, venturing into the forest to reclaim their land and destroy as many Reapers as possible. One night, while stargazing with a telescope, Will and Nina notice 3 mysterious lights approaching Earth. The meaning is clear. The aliens are returning, and they have a new plan. And with that, this story ends here. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.